If you make really good content for organic, people are going to discover you and discover your business. And at the end of the day, these platforms are trying to find stuff that resonates with people, because the more views it gets, the more engagement it gets, the more that people want to stay on the platform, the more people are having a good experience on this platform. So they like that. You know, like you make a video with 4 million views on TikTok. I don't have to question whether that video is good. I know it's good because the algorithm doesn't lie. You know what I mean? You know, and granted, it could be like clickbait, and there's easy ways to get views, especially if you're like an attractive girl. You can just barely wear any clothes and you're going to get views. But that's the cheap way of getting views. You can't really address that with business. Like, you're making content about your business and it's getting lots of views. You're obviously doing something right. And also, it might not be that piece of content that sucked. It might just be the hook that sucked. And all you need to do is just test some new hooks, because those hooks might have just not been compelling enough for people to stick around and watch the rest.
According to that, what kind of hooks examples, in your opinion, are the most efficient in nowadays, which you could recommend? I mean, something what really making attraction, doesn't matter what kind of industry, but that it catch and give organic growth from your experience.
I think you have to think of content in two ways. So there's going to be experiential type content that's just very high end, and it feels like there was a lot of money and effort put into it. And then there's also performance content that just speaks directly to the person and makes it feel very relatable. And typically I would think of that as like using experiential stuff as a branding play to really get people to understand that you're serious about what you do. You invest money in your content. So that obviously means typically content is not the first thing people are spending money on. You got to have a product or a brand first. So if you're already at the point where you're investing a lot of money in content, you've probably got a pretty good product. It's kind of like the unspoken thing about content is like, if you're already investing a lot of money in content, chances are you've already got something good to pump that money in. So from an experiential standpoint, just honestly, what we do is just anytime I see an ad that sparks my attention or a video that sparks my attention, I send it to a group chat that I have with my team. So we have a chat on Instagram that's just all my team, and we just are always sending each other really great ads, because honestly, you have to get inspiration from elsewhere. There's actually a lot of controversy around this in AI. Right now, there's that whole trend of people uploading their pictures and that makes the profile pictures, right? But there's like this whole controversy about, well, is the AI actually making art, or is it just basing a bunch of images of you based on the art styles of other artists that have already existed? And it's like, yes, duh, but isn't that what all artists do? The first guy that painted a painting, are we going to say that every other painter on earth is just copying that painter? No. You know, like if someone makes something with a camera and then now I use a camera to make something, am I copying that first guy? No, it's a medium, and every piece of art is always building on what we've seen before. And it's just a matter of how much of it are you copying. That's why like in fair use cases, like in the United States, there's like fair use of content. Like if I take something that you made and I make it transformative enough that it's something new, like if I use your voice as a little sample in my song, I'm allowed to do that because the rest of the song is the piece of art. I just took your little phrase and used it as I remixed it enough. And I think I don't quote me on this, but I think it's like if the court can say that you basically transformed it enough so that more than 50% of the creation is your own, you're allowed to use other things as long, there's a gray area. But basically what I'm trying to say is no one's coming up with 100% original ideas. We're all building on the backs of people that came before us. You could go back way far and even think about language. Someone invented the English language and we're all using it now as a tool to further ourselves as a society and all this stuff. So I don't think that taking inspiration from other artists is a bad thing at all. I think you need to take inspiration from what you see and make sure you put your own twist on it so that it doesn't feel like you're copying. So for example, if I see a really cool ad for a coffee grinder and they do some sort of cool transition in the beginning where the coffee grinder emerges from a pile of coffee beans, that's really cool. I could probably take the same concept and apply it to a protein powder, have a pile of protein powder and the protein powder bottle comes through. Is it similar? Yes. Is it a lot of the same concept? Or maybe I reverse it and instead of it coming out, it goes in. And as long as you're taking inspiration and using it to your advantage and using it especially if you're using it in a different niche, that's when it's like, it totally makes sense. There's a book, I believe it's a book called Steal Like an Artist. I'd have to look again. It's in my Audible account, but listen to that. And it is a great book. And it really talks about how you can take inspiration from other areas of life and apply it to your art, apply it to your stuff. So that's what we do is we look at what's out there, what's going on. And not only do we take inspiration from what we do like, but we also take note of what we don't like and figure out creative ways to change those things. So this could have been a really cool ad if the text was different. Or for example, one thing I see a lot, especially if an ad or a video needs a lot of text to explain something, if you just put all of the text on the screen at one time, people are going to make a decision whether they're going to read all that text or not, because they're going to see it. And especially with a video, you don't know how much longer that text is going to be on the video. So you might start by just like scanning it like crazy, hoping that it doesn't go away. Or you could just be like, bug it. That's way too much text. I'm not reading it. But if you feed them one word at a time or one line at a time, and eventually maybe the whole screen fills up, those people aren't making the decision to read it anymore. They are just simply reading it, because when you look at a word, you don't choose if you're going to read the word or not. It's only one word. So you're reading that word. Just by looking at it, you know what the word is and you know what the meaning is. So if you put the words in one by one or line by line, you have a way higher chance of retention and people actually reading it, because not only are you not making them have anxiety about how much time they have left, because you're kind of telling them how much time they have just by simply the pace at which you're feeding them the words. And then B, you're going to make them read it because their eye is being drawn to whatever the newest thing. If you're just throwing 100% new stuff at them, now they don't know where to look. They don't know what to look at. They don't know if they have enough time to read it. So stuff like that is where we take a lot of inspiration from. And I don't really remember exactly where I was going with that. But yeah, take inspiration from other people and share it with your team, share it with other people, save it. I love on Instagram, they have collections you can save things to. You can click the little bookmark button and you can save specific things to specific collections. And you can also do that inside of groups too. But TikTok has that feature. Instagram has that feature. I think Facebook might even have that feature. But I love stuff like that. So I would say take inspiration from people that you admire their work and change it up a little bit and make it your own.